Hello guys, this is your friend What If Naruto, and story title is What If Naruto Got Harem with FemSasuke, Hinata and Tenten Council Bashing Part 2. Don't forget like, subscribe and share. Now let's start story. Earlier that night in the Hokage Tower. In his office, Hiruzen Sarutobi, the professor, known to all as Third Hokage, was watching over Naruto and Satsuki through his crystal ball as the two said genin slept together. The old man gave a calm and happy smile at the sight of the two children sleeping so soundly. So, Naruto-kun found out about Satsuki-chan's real gender. He stated the obvious in a mutter. What Satsuki and many didn't know was that he, along with the shinobi side of the council, had known the truth of who was the last Uchiha all along. Though the old Hokage could have told not only the rest of the council along with the whole village, but he had decided to let Satsuki go on with her little plan of hiding her gender, as he and the shinobi council didn't want her to suffer at the hands of the selfish and possibly lecherous civilian council. The old Hokage knew full well that by law he would have to force the Uchiha heiress into the CRA after the entire Uchiha clan's massacre, but he also knew that would surely cause her to have a mental breakdown and possibly hate the village. So he decided he would rather risk the trouble of hiding her true gender as long as possible than to let that poor girl suffer such a fate. That, and he also had a sadistic desire to see the civilian council's horrified reaction when the time came for the girl to reveal the truth. Now then, Hiruzen got out as he went to the drawers of his desk and pulled out some documents. After this sudden but pleasant turn of events, I better make some changes to the team squads, he decided as he went through the team documents. He was originally going to place Naruto, Sasuke and Sakura together. After all, it was always the format to place the best, top kunoichi and the dead last together, but realized that was a plan for disaster. After all, the only way for this type of team to work was if one of them must be the heart to unite them together. This format always worked in the past because there was always a heart when the actual test began. But not in this case. Though it would be an act, Sasuke and Naruto would be constantly fighting each other. He knew that wouldn't be a problem because Satsuki knew she had to fight side by side as Naruto would do so as well. No, the problem for this specific team would be the third member, as Sakura would have just fawned over Sasuke and not even care for Naruto, let alone his safety. He then went over said third member's name and looked over her file. While Sakura is indeed a very gifted girl in terms of intellectual skills, she is more suited as a genjutsu type, so I would be best for not just Satsuki-chan and Naruto-kun's sakes but for her own if I place her on Kurenai's team to become more experienced with genjutsu and switch her with Hinata. He concluded as he then gave a small sigh. Though I also hope Kurenai doesn't take this too badly. She did want to have Hinata on her team. Hopefully she can bond with Sakura with this change of team members. Plus I am hoping that with Kurenai as her sensei, Sakura would snap out of her fangirl obsession. He added. Then the old Hokage gave a small amusing chuckle. That, and it would help out our shy little Hyuga. He then said. It was an obvious fact to everyone that Hinata had a crush on Naruto, but was too shy to say it. Heck, even most of the Jonin and some Anbu in the village made one large bet for who would confess first and when. It was actually more like a pool. Some guessed she would confess at the earliest when she graduated, while others bet it would bet when she was in her 20s, and one or two actually bet that it would be Naruto to be the one to confess to her. That would be the day. He thought to himself as he then began to think seriously. This should balance out the teams well enough. Not to mention with Hinata-chan on Naruto-kun's team, she is bound to at least get a confidence boost. After all, Naruto-kun has the uncanny ability to bring out the good to those who open up to him. Hiruzen muttered with a smile as he finished the new team placements. He then gently palmed his face in exhaustion as he went back to doing the dreaded paperwork, cursing the fourth Hokage for giving him back the Hokage position when he died. Now don't get him wrong, he still loves being the Hokage. At still being able to protect his precious Konoha, he would still protect his home, but I should had been in retirement by now. He shouted to the sky. The next day, as the sun was beginning to rise, a rooster crowed out the welcome a new day. while also waking Naruto up. Though he responded by throwing a kunai at it and nearly hit the unfortunate bird, but it missed by a few inches, this made the poor animal to become terrified as it jumped to the ground, landing right on top of a civilian that was taking an early walk and began to peck and scratch at his face. The man screamed in pain as he tried to get the rooster off his face. Damn it. Stupid bird Datbao. Naruto groaned at being wake up too early. As he began to wake up, he then looked over to his side and saw the still sleeping Satsuki. The sight of the peaceful-looking girl made him smile. She looks so peaceful, he admitted with a smile. How I got lucky enough to get to know her in such a short time is beyond me. He added, but he was very happy for getting to know Satsuki. But before he could continue enjoying the moment, Naruto suddenly began to smell something terrible, like a cross between a dead carcass and old spoiled milk, wafting around him. The hell? He got out as he pulled his collar away from him and sniffed the inside, confirming that the smell was coming from him. Geez, I reek. Gah, I can't go outside smelling like this. If I do, then the civilians will complain that I'm trying to off them with my bad smell, not that it would stop them from complaining either way. He muttered as he took one last look at Satsuki, hoping she wouldn't mind him using her bath. I'm sure she won't mind, he thought to himself. Moving carefully out of the bed while trying to make sure he didn't wake Satsuki, Naruto left the room to go find and take a bath. Naruto was in awe at how tidy and spacious Satsuki's place was compared to his crappy apartment. He walked around for a few moments before finding the bathroom. The bath was pretty big enough for 3 people to bathe comfortably at once. Whoa, this definitely beats my dinky old bathtub. I usually have to share with the moths. He commented as he was baffled by the size of the huge bathtub that also had a shower attachment. Naruto then started the shower, and while the bath was filling up, he began to pull his clothes off. They were still a bit sticky with sweat from yesterday's intense training and the matches he had with Satsuki. Naruto, now fully, he walked into the bath and closed the door behind him, though he forgot to lock it. The warm water felt like heaven as he could literally feel the dirt and sweat wash off him, letting his body relax. As Naruto soaked his body and relaxed his muscles, he went over what happened yesterday in his mind. It was all very confusing, and he wasn't completely sure what to do, or even what to say, to Satsuki, though he did plan to help her out however he could as he gave his word and he had no intention of going against it. Meanwhile, back with said Uchiha, Satsuki began to slowly open her eyes, then she began to move her hand around the side where Naruto slept and found it to be empty. This made her fully awake as she immediately wondered where her new friend was at when she didn't feel his presence in the room anymore. Naruto-kun, she muttered out as she hadn't yet realized that she was blushing when she thought of Naruto as her friend. Satsuki stood up from her bed, stretching her arms into the air with a loud yawn. She left her bedroom and walked around her apartment, looking for her former classmate. Naruto, however, was nowhere to be seen. Did he already leave? He didn't even say goodbye. Satsuki guessed as she sighed, sad that he would leave without even saying goodbye. Suddenly, Satsuki's concentration was broken by a foul smell. It didn't take her long to realize that the smell was coming from her. I better go take a bath and wash up. Thanks to what happened, I never quite got a chance to take a shower. She remembered. I feel so gross. I don't understand how some guys can handle being smelly like this. She then groaned in disgust and annoyance as she quickly made her way to the bathroom. After closing the door behind her, Satsuki began to strip off yesterday's clothes. Since she let Naruto sleep in her bed, Satsuki had to stay in the same clothes she had worn after her original clothes were shredded from the match from the night before. If she had woken up first and tried changing, she would have risked waking Naruto up, giving him another eyeful of her natural-born self, again. After tossing her sweat-drenched clothes to the side, Satsuki wrapped a towel around herself, and stood just in front of the door, ignorant of its other occupant. A nice shower will help me get cleaned up. she decided as she went back to thinking about how her new friend, unaware of the pink blush on her face. Meanwhile, Naruto had just finished up as he got out and covered himself with a towel, tying it around his waist and using another one to dry his shaggy golden blonde hair. Ah, he sighed contentedly as he was cracking his neck. That was nice. Way better than what I could get in my apartment bathroom. He thought as he opened the door to find Satsuki, with nothing but a towel on. It took a moment before either of them realized what was standing before them, causing Satsuki brain shut down, causing her dropped her towel around her body, exposing her very impressive yet still growing yet again. Ah, both ninja to be screamed in shock at the sights in front of them that when Naruto attempted to take a few steps back he stepped on a bar of soap and fell back into the bath, hitting his head on tube's edge while Satsuki was curled into a ball on the opposite wall, trying to cover as much of her body as possible and her face was crimson red from embarrassment from being seen yet again. Within the seal, the Kyuubi then woke up to the screams. Oh, what now? He grumbled in annoyance before then saw the Uchiha and felt his Jinchuriki in pain as it didn't take the Biju long to connect the dots. Bwahahaha. He began to laugh his off at the ridiculous but also hilarious way to start the day while his nose bled from the size of the girl's rack. After a few moments, Naruto regained his composure and Satsuki wrapped her fallen towel back around her body with the situation becoming extremely awkward as they both attempted not to look at each other's lack of clothing, the towels left nothing to the imagination. Satsuki then started to blush madly as she couldn't help but take a peek at Naruto. Oh Kami, he's so ripped, those muscles are huge. She thought unintentionally as she stared at her male friend. I wonder how big. No perverted thoughts, she added as she then shook her head back and forth as she couldn't help but admire his lean and muscular body. Naruto was also blushing madly as well, but for a different reason. Whoa, do all girls in a clan have big like that? I mean we're only 12 for Kami's sake and she already has an stop thinking like that. He thought as he drank in her hourglass figure and the sizable mounds on her chest, which were only covered by a tiny towel. It's official. You hit puberty. Kyuubi commented as he laughed his off again. Though it seems that the Uchiha went through it way before you with her rack. He added. Shut it, was all Naruto could retort as he once again tried desperately not to think of said girl's assets. Then after another few moments their curiosity of the opposite gender finally won over as the two turned around at the same time and they froze in place as they kept staring at each other, admiring each other's bodies while not knowing what to say to the other. Soon after what felt like hours, Satsuki finally recovered from her self-trance as she broke the silence. I'm sorry about this Naruto-kun. She apologized, feeling as though it was her fault. To this response, Naruto finally recovered of his own trance. It's alright Satsuki-chan. I should have left a note saying where I went off to. He responded, as he began to rub the back his head to get rid of the pain. That really hurt, he thought to himself. Which is surprising considering you're thick-headed. Kyuubi commented with another chuckle. Naruto only groaned in annoyance, though made sure not let Satsuki saw or hear it, or risk making her believe it was for her. Satsuki meanwhile was trying to figure out what she should say. I'm glad you found the bath though, it looks like we really went all out last night with our sparring match. Her voice trembled slightly, only half sure of what she was saying. This got Naruto's attention as he turned his head back towards Satsuki. Yeah, sorry I used your bath without asking. I didn't wanna go out smelling like I did. He explained, as he was just as nervous as the girl in front of him. This started to calm Satsuki down a little as she looked at the blonde genin. No problem, if you want I can lend you some of my Sasuke clothes, I'm pretty sure they'll fit you. She then offered. Naruto nodded his head, sure, that'd be great, thanks. He said with much gratitude in his voice as he began to calm down. Still not quite aware of what she was saying, Satsuki slightly tilted her head as a question popped into her head. Do you want me to show you where my Sasuke clothes are? She then bluntly asked before her eyes widened. Why did I ask him that? She then thought in a panic as she realized that would be saying to change together. Naruto wasn't doing much better as he looked at her. Yeah, thanks again, he calmly said before he too then realized what he had just said. What am I doing? Say no, you idiot. He also thought in a panic, wanting to reject the offer, but now couldn't as that would make the poor girl feel like a pervert. Satsuki then turned around, unintentionally giving Naruto a look at her shapely rear which made said blonde blush red at the sight, and gestured for him to follow her by wagging her finger. Okay then, just follow me then Naruto-kun. She then requested, trying to sound calm, but inwardly, she was panicking like mad over the situation as she didn't even realize she added kun again to Naruto's name. Oh Kami, what am I doing? What will Naruto-kun think of me acting like this? She panicked in her mind as she felt a little dizzy from all the blood rushing to her head. In the seal meanwhile, the Kyuubi could feel the emotions leaking from the girl as he smirked at the sight, knowing how she was really feeling. Oh, the irony of it all, he said to himself. The two young genin walked in an awkward silence. Nothing was said out loud, but their heads wouldn't shut up as they tried to think of what to say next. Damn it, what the hell should I do? It was a miracle I was able to handle this last night, but now. Naruto's thoughts trailed off as his eyes slowly started to wander down and stare at Satsuki's swinging hips and shapely butt, the towel teased to expose it at any moment. The bottom of her rear suddenly stuck out from the towel, immediately causing Naruto's hormones go insane, but it wasn't as if no one could blame him. The towel Satsuki had on was incredibly small and she, who unconsciously clutched it closer to her chest, didn't help keep the side currently facing Naruto covered. This made their walk feel like miles instead of down the hall. She got a nice, huh? Kyuubi commented offhandedly as Naruto could feel the shit-eating grin on the fox's face. While said blonde couldn't even retorted from his face being crimson red as he couldn't even defend himself from something he was clearly did, which made the Biju only chuckle more. As they then finally reached the room, Satsuki opened the door and pointed to the closet. My Sasuke clothes are in there, you can use anything that fits. She then explained, unaware of what her towel was doing as she continued to hold it. Naruto could only nod his head as he finally broke away from staring at her rear. Thanks Satsuki-chan, I owe you one. He couldn't help but honestly say. Hearing Naruto thank her made Satsuki blush instantly at being called her name with such familiarity. And no problem. She stuttered with much shyness in her tone. Why am I stuttering? And why is my heart pounding so fast? I feel like it's about to burst out of my chest. She thought, worrying about what was going on with herself. Naruto went to walk into the room, while the still absent-minded Satsuki also tried to enter her room, but since the door was for single-person use, it caused both of them to brush against each other, and since they were wearing nothing but towels when their bare skins touch each other as they felt the body heat of the other, which made them blush dark red. This caused both preteens to turn towards the other and jump back, each hitting their backs against the nearest wall to them. The two just stared into each other's eyes as their face still dark red, not knowing what to say. Then their eyes slowly began to descend and the both of them got another look at the other's body, which made their red face turn redder. After a moment or two they finally calmed down enough, and this time it was Naruto who broke the silence. Sorry about that Satsuki-chan. My fault, I wasn't thinking. He got out. Satsuki's blush became deeper crimson as she then shook her head in response. No problem, could have happened to anybody. She replied, trying to get rid of the awkwardness. Naruto chuckled lightly, trying to get rid of the awkwardness around them. Yeah, could happen to anyone, he said with his usual grin and rubbed the back of his head. Wow, this is such a fascinating conversation, isn't? Kyuubi commented with a sweat drop as he was now finding this situation really annoying now. If you're going to keep apologizing, do it after actually doing something good like groping her or her rear that you like staring so much. He added as he leaned on his huge human-like paw. Will you shut up already? Naruto roared with much embarrassment of being reminded of that little fact. The Biju just snorted. Not my fault, You were the one that woke me up. He countered, only to hear a groan in response from his host, which made the Biju smirked at being proved right. Satsuki's blush soon became even darker as she saw the smile. I'll go take a bath and then I'll make breakfast for the both of us, if that's alright. She soon offered. Sure. Naruto responded. Then when he saw her leave towards the bathroom, he closed the door to change. Once fully alone, he leaned on the door and gave a big sigh of frustration. What in Kami's name is wrong with me? I acted like a total moron. Why do I feel this way every time I'm around Satsuki-chan? He then asked himself. I mean, I still like Sakura-chan. But Satsuki-chan. She accepted me as a friend. And Sakura-chan wouldn't even consider the thought of being my friend. She would hit me whenever I even try to talk to her. He then admitted. The QB merely chuckled to that as he listened in. Sounds like the kid's crush is beginning to change its focus. He then thought. From an annoying bitch to a busty babe, nice transition, even if she is an Uchiha. He soon added in his head, though he really didn't felt any hatred towards the girl, he still said her last name with hatred in his tone. Meanwhile, back inside the bathroom, Satsuki started the water again as she held the towel tightly to cover her body from exposure. After it finally filled up, she released the towel and went into the tub. After letting out a sigh of relief over the warm water soaking her body, she began to gather her thoughts of everything that had happened last night all the way to right now. That was when a realization coming to her. Kun. I called Naruto that at the end of his name. She muttered as a small blush adored her face. Her father had always told her that honorifics were to be used with the utmost care, and that using them in the wrong circumstance could mean a lot of trouble for the family. Though most Uchihas almost never used such honorifics to those they don't deem worthy, they still were very careful when using them. Though she never liked that aspect, she still understood that about always being careful with honorifics, but after only one night with someone she thought she hated after acting like Sasuke for so long, she didn't know what to do now. As Satsuki was still sitting down in the warm waters, she soon began to look at the ceiling, more precisely at the window that was in the middle as the steam escaped from it, as she stared at the clear blue sky. Why did I ask him to stay with me for the night? She then suddenly asked, wondering what came to her when she made that request. Then she remembered the way Naruto told her that he would help keep her secret. This made her hug her legs close to her chest. Why do I feel as though I can trust him? And why do I feel so safe around him? It was never like that before. Satsuki thought in realization as a light pink blush appearing on her cheeks while more thoughts of the blonde boy came to mind. Naruto-kun. Who are you really? She then unintentionally asked to herself as she placed one hand to her heart while she kept thinking of Naruto. Back at Satsuki's room, Naruto was looking through the clothes inside of Satsuki's closet as he couldn't find any he liked. Damn, no orange, he muttered while still looked for something that would match his tastes. Though as he continued to look, he realized that the main colors of Sasuke's clothes were dark blue and white. After a bit of looking through the clothes, his eyes widened a bit. Oh, Naruto got out as he pulled out a black leather jacket. This'll do, I guess. He decided as he then eventually did found something. Jackpot, he said with excitement as he found an orange undershirt, so he decided to wear that and a pair of black jeans. On his feet he wore black ninja sandals. After he was finished putting on everything, he looked at himself in a mirror that was in the room. Now Naruto may not be a very fashionable guy, but even he knew this looked good. Not bad, Dadbeo, he admitted with a smirk as he left and headed to the living room area. When Naruto arrived at the living room of Satsuki's apartment, he found a discarded black headband on the table and tied it around his head. I hope Satsuki-chan won't mind, I'll give it back later. He thought, not wanting her to think he was a thief. Once he did that, he then got an idea. I'll send some clones out to go and train. He then decided as he made 15 clones. Alright guys, get to the usual training spot and train your off. After a couple of hours of training, dispel yourself one at a time, got it? He ordered. The clones then saluted to him. You got it, boss, they said in unison. One by one, they headed out the window and headed for the training ground. In the seal, the QB scoffed at this. You wouldn't even have known about this had I not told you about that jutsu hidden ability, he retorted. This made Naruto remembered when the QB had told him. Flashback no jutsu. Naruto was sitting down in the middle of the training field, thinking over all the jutsus he just got. Practicing, eating, mastering my new jutsu. Air bullet, mud wall, beast wave palm that QB gave me an exploding clone. Naruto listed off all the jutsu. So many things to do, Dadbayo. He then groaned out. Now don't get him wrong, he loves learning new jutsus, it's just he didn't even know where to even begin at learning them. Alright, I guess I'll start with the air bullet. Naruto decided as he went to read the instructions of said jutsu he copied from the scroll. It was simple enough, gathered both regular and wind chakra inside of his lungs and then expelled condensed bullets. Simple enough, he said with an obvious tone, not even knowing just how hard this jutsu was for a genin. Little dumbass, the QB then remarked in annoyance as he waited for the inevitable. Naruto began to take a few deep breaths to get his lungs extended as it was a tip the scroll recommended. After he was done he did a small nod. Alright, let's get this jutsu done, Dadbayo. He cheered as he began to make the necessary hand signs and send his normal chakra in his throat and tried to condense it without wind chakra. Here we go. Wind-style air bullet, he thought to himself as he then tried to expel the condensed chakra from his throat only for it to expand instead. He shouted in pain as he fell to his knees and could feel his throat ready to explode as he then fell on his face. Bwahahaha. The QB then began laughing at the results he knew that would happen. Then after a few minutes of waiting for his throat to heal, Naruto decided to try out another jutsu. Let's try something that isn't from inside my body, he said with a sore throat. He went to the second one on the list. Let's try the mud wall, he decided as he began to read the instruction the old man gave him. The user must mold his earth chakra on his arms and then place them on the ground. Then using the concentrated chakra, the user will force a earth table to come upwards to create a shield. He read as again he shrugged. Simple enough, he said again. Why do I feel a pattern coming? QB then commented with a chuckle. Naruto soon began to make the hand signs and concentrate chakra to his arms. He figured since he is forcing a huge earth shield from the very earth it should cost a lot of chakra. Alright, let's do this. Earth style. Mud wall jutsu, he declared with excitement. The blonde genin smiled with happiness when he started to feel the earth moving. It's working, he shouted as he thought he was a genius to make it on the first try, but whoosh. Naruto got out in confusion as he was now flying in midair as the ground had turned into a pitfall. Ah! He shouted as he fell right into the pitfall. Bwahahahaha. The QB again began to laugh at the result yet again. After Naruto managed to get out of the pitfall, his was completely covered in dirt. Okay, let's try it later, he concluded as he began to dust himself off before spitting some dirt out of his mouth. Bleg. He spat out. Once he was more or less clean enough, he went down the list again and decided to try out the beast wave palm. Okay, I hope this will be easier, after all it's a jutsu to be sent away from the user, he concluded as he then began to recall how QB told him to perform the jutsu. Okay, he said that I should gather wind chakra around my hand and then once I gather enough I should do a vertical slash and that should do it. He said what the Biju told him. Wonder how he'll screw this up, QB thought with a smirk. Naruto then went through the hand signs once more as soon ended with the dog sign. He gathered a lot of chakra into his hand. Wind style. Beast wave palm, he declared as he did a vertical slash. Rip. Tear. Slash. Naruto stood there for a moment or two as he saw his jacket torn apart, leaving him completely shirtless as he then felt an ungodly pain while his hand got a lot of cuts and gashes. Ah! He screamed in pain. Okay, that was my fault, should had told him to master some of the finer points before using that one. Kyubi remarked with a sweat drop as he began to send some of his chakra to heal the wounds. After a few more moments, Naruto's hand was completely healed thanks to the fox's chakra. Oh, okay. Let's try the last jutsu where I know I won't be hurt, he said as he read the final jutsu in the list. Exploding clone. This jutsu has a stronger variety of the shadow clone where the regular clone gets double the necessary chakra and it will condense it into its center, then when fully condensed it will explode in a violent explosion. Warning: this jutsu requires even more chakra than the normal shadow clone or risk dying from chakra exhaustion. He read the instructions. Now this should be easier, I only have to give my clone more chakra than normal and that should be it, he concluded with a smile. Yeah, he shouldn't even. Kyubi tried to think with deadpan, already knowing how this was going to end, but it was too late. Naruto then did his signature seal as he made an attempt to a clone. Shadow clone jutsu, he shouted as he gave this one clone more chakra than normal. When he saw that the clone came out fine, he smirked. Yes, now do it, he told the clone with excitement. He was so excited that he forgot to make space between the clone and himself, so when the clone did as he was told. Boom! Naruto was now in the center of the explosion with his whole body black from said explosion. Oh Kami, damn it, Dadbao, he then yelled, completely annoyed of the results. Bwahahahaha. Kyubi was then laughing so hard that he actually was feeling pain from laughing so hard. Then after calming down enough he wiped the tear that came from too much laughter. Hey Kit, he soon began. What? Naruto replied as he was clearly not in the mood to deal with him. Why don't you just use your clones to do those damaging jutsus? Kyubi finished with honest curiosity. This instantly put a hold on Naruto's anger as he stared with a dumb expression on his face. What? Was all he could say. You know, what the scroll said about the other part of the shadow clones? Kyubi remarked as he began to recall said part. Anything that the shadow clones do or see will be transferred back to the user. In other words, if the clones do a jutsu you should remembered how they did it, he said. Naruto stood still for a good minute as his eyes then became hollow as he began to process what he just said and what he just experienced. Kit? Kyubi asked when his Jinchuriki was quiet for a whole minute. What? Are you kidding me? What the hell, damn it? Why didn't you tell me, Dadbao? Naruto exploded with uncontrollable fury. You never asked. The Kyubi simply responded with a witty smirk on his face. For all the remainder of the day, the sound of hundreds of Naruto's cursing could be heard at the training grounds while they were practicing their jutsus, that and the sound of explosions, tears and screaming of pain too. Meanwhile on a nearby tree branch, a mask-figured only sweat dropped, as he wondered what the cursing was really about. Kai. Naruto then sweat dropped at remembering that time. Not. One of my best moments, Dadbao, he admitted with a depressed tone. Kyubi could only chuckle at that. You're the one that decided not to fully read the jutsu's full effects and only focus on the first sentence of the description kit, he then remarked, reminding his container of what happened. Just shut up, you annoying erotic fox. Naruto then grumbled out, clearly not wanting to be reminded of the events as he waited for the female Uchiha. Back in the bathroom, Satsuki had soon finished her bath, drying herself off as she did. Her mind began to wander between what happened yesterday to all that had happened after the massacre. True, she still had the occasional nightmares of that fateful day, but it was then that she realized that last night it was the first time that she had a very peaceful and pleasant sleep in a long time. But why? She muttered in slight confusion as the image of a certain blonde came to mind. Could it be that it was because of me opening up to someone? She then added as a small blush appeared on her cheeks. I'll worry about that later, she then decided as she watched the water drain from the tub. Finally finishing with what she was doing in the bathroom, Satsuki went back into her room as she got changed. As she walked back she remembered something important. Team selections is today, huh? She got out as remembered that the 1-week break had finally ended. I wonder who will be on my team. She wondered out loud, as she had to admit, she was a little curious about who she would be with. After Satsuki had entered her room, she noticed that Naruto wasn't there. He must be downstairs. She figured as she used this opportunity to use the binding tape to hold her. Hjorts. She groaned out as she wrapped the tape around her chest, this being the one thing that the young preteen hated with passion, having to use binding tape to keep her obvious female trait hidden. It's always a pain having to do this every single day, but I have to do this. Quote. She complained before a revolting thought appeared in her mind, shivering at the possibility of one of the Sasuke fangirls being placed as her teammate. Dear Kami, please don't let that happen. She muttered to herself before she got herself dressed in an outfit Sasuke would wear and headed for the kitchen to make breakfast. As she walked downstairs, she saw that Naruto was aimlessly staring off into space. I guess he's deep in thought, I'll leave him to his business. She thought with a gentle smile. What Satsuki didn't know, however, was that Naruto would always remain in this state every time a clone either disappeared after he successfully did a jutsu or the clone had failed at performing it. This would send the experience the clone obtained to the original. The Uchiha heiress then finally entered the kitchen where she got her mother's old apron on. Better make the usual, except I have a guest today. She decided as she once again blushed again at being reminded that she had a friend now. Is this how Hinata Hyuga feels about him? Now I understand why she always stutters around him. She thought to herself. Like many, she too knew about the shy little Hyuga's obvious crush on Naruto. Though she always had to keep her Sasuke appearance, she always thought that Hinata looked really cute whenever she looked at Naruto and blushed cutely that she would always squealed on the inside whenever she saw her act like that. I think Hinata-chan would be the only girl I could handle. She admitted in her head. Then after a giggle escaped her lips, she went to make her family's special breakfast curry and the aroma filled the air. After another clone had dispelled from overtraining, Naruto was stretching his limbs as he thought that one was the last clone he made. Man, that was a good workout, getting a little better on my jutsus, but I still have long way to go. He admitted as he suddenly smelled something good. Satsuki-chan must be making breakfast. He thought as he followed the smell, leading him to the kitchen. When he reached the kitchen, he saw Satsuki with the apron on as she was setting the table. The apron was a light blue color, as it had the Uchiha symbol in the middle and had white snowflakes around it. Kami, she looks cute. He thought with a small blush on his face as he finally began to approach her, as he couldn't help but think that she looked attractive in the apron. Damn, if only she was wearing just the apron. QB committed as he began to chuckle pervertedly while sending the lewd images to his container. In return, Naruto blushed crimson red at the images, but he quickly recovered as he refrained from retorting to the perverted Biju. Yo, morning Satsuki-chan. He called out to get her attention as he gave her a true smile, while he began to wave his hand towards the female Uchiha. This slightly startled the Uchiha to the point that it nearly made her drop the food, and when she regained her balance, she then turned to see Naruto in his current outfit. Oh hi Naruto-kun. Satsuki stuttered out with a noticeable blush on her face at both seeing Naruto's in his new outfit and the smile that he was giving her. Wow, he looks really nice in those. She thought to herself, as she was thankful that the blonde didn't notice her blushing face. I made some of my family's special breakfast curry. I hope you enjoy it. She then explained as she turned back to the food to try to distract herself from seeing the blonde. Naruto then pulled out the chair and sat down. Curry? He asked as he tilted his head slightly as he looked at the food. It looks pretty good, I never had curry before. He then admitted. Really? Satsuki asked in surprise as the two sat down to eat. Are you serious? She then added to the question. Naruto merely shrugged to the question. Yeah, most if now all the shop and restaurant owners always raise the prices on me, so the only food I ever really was able to either afford or to eat was Ichiraku ramen, regular cups of ramen, some groceries that I managed to get at a low price whenever Iruka-sensei didn't bring me something. He casually explained the harsher parts of his life, as he never really cared about how they tried him. Quote. Kyubi said nothing to this as he remained silent while having a very serious expression on his face. Satsuki on the other hand was stupefied by this reveal as her jaw dropped slightly while her eyes widened in shock. He's only eaten ramen for most of his life. She thought as she began to feel an emotion she only ever had towards one certain person began to fill her, burning rage and anger. Why do the shop and restaurant owners raise the prices on you? They lower the prices for me personally because of my Uchiha status, but raise them on you. An orphan. That's unfair and unjustified, she exclaimed, clearly showing both anger and worry for her new friend. Naruto shrugged his shoulders as he then chuckled a little. Meh, I don't mind. I usually just prank the pricks afterward. He then explained as he said it as if it wasn't a big deal. To be honest, pranking seems to help train me in stealth so at least something good comes out of it. He then added, feeling satisfied that he pulled the successful pranks. It was a given that the Uchiha didn't look convinced in the slightest. But, still, Satsuki muttered. She was beginning feeling guilty again, after she learned so much about Naruto, from finding out that he didn't know who his parents were and that he's only ever been able to eat ramen for most of his life for some reason, she felt that she had took everything she ever had for granted. As if Naruto could feel what Satsuki was feeling, he just waved her concerns. It's alright Satsuki-chan, you don't have to worry. He said with an understanding. He pointed at the food that was in front of them. How about we eat? I'm starving, he then stated. Satsuki's face was still full of concern and worry for her new friend's harsh life. But, I can't help but to worry, she thought as she slightly narrowed her eyes as they were filled with sadness. But as she was about to say something, her stomach growled with a cute sound. This made her halt her question while also making Naruto chuckle at the sound. I guess I am too, she soon admitted with a small giggle. This managed to lighten her mood a little as they decided to just let the subject go for now. Then as Satsuki was about to take a bite, she remembered something that she forgot to ask about. Naruto-kun, she soon started. Naruto had already used a spoon to grab some of the curry, but stopped before he could take a bite. Yeah, he responded as he turned towards her. Satsuki began to slightly fidgeting her hands below the table as she thought of how to ask her question. Well, I was wonder. Why did you think Sakura was at my apartment last night? I'm just curious, she then suddenly asked. Naruto winced at the question. Oh, well, how do I explain? He then started to chuckle a little as he now thought it was kind of awkward now that he thought back on it. It was your stupid imagination running wild at the time. The Kyubi then remarked as this in turn made Naruto groan internally, knowing he couldn't deny it being true. Satsuki then gave him a confused look with an adorable tilt of her head. What? Come on, it's alright, you can tell me. She then started to give him the dreaded jutsu that make any man into a slave to a girl's wishes, the infamous, puppy eyes jutsu, that all the kunoichis and even some of the civilian ones seemed to know. Please, she pled cutely as she suddenly became even 10 times cuter while her face and eyes sparkled. Quote. Naruto thought as even he knew that no man could resist this forbidden jutsu. He was still surprised to learn that it even was a jutsu in the first place since it was just a simple genjutsu where they increase a girl's cuteness. This made Kyubi chuckle at his host's predicament. Get used to it, Kit. This will not be the last time you feel its terrible power. The Biju then commented. This once again made Naruto groan internally as he somehow knew that he was right. Well, remember when I told you about me having something kind of like a bloodline? He then asked in response. This made Satsuki recalled when Naruto said so before their match as she ended the genjutsu making herself look cute. I think I remember you mentioning that, just before we had our spar. What exactly does it do exactly? She then curiously asked. Naruto nodded to this. Yeah, though like I said it's not really a true bloodline like yours, because of this bloodline, it enhances my natural abilities, such as my sense of smell, hearing, sight. But not on the Byakugan level, it gives me a nice healing factor to help me heal real fast, and it also increases my reaction time as well. He explained, though he made sure not to say how or where did he gain this bloodline. What? You scared that she will hate or fear you? QB asked in a neutral tone as he knew that he omitted that part of the explanation. To be honest, yes. Naruto replied with honesty, as the Biju wasn't really that surprised, but before he commented on it, Naruto then continued his explanation. Well, I don't really think you're like people say you are, but I don't know how Satsuki-chan would take it. He added with the same honest tone. The Biju didn't say anything, but he did give a small smirk to his host's honesty. I guess he really is different. He thought to himself. Satsuki meanwhile nodded her head to this explanation, getting intrigued by it. Really? So I am assuming it's similar to the Inuzuka clan, correct? She asked with a slight exciting tone, wanting to know more. Now Naruto had to think of how to respond to that, as he really could say he used his Biju's chakra to gain super level senses. Yeah, so last night after I was training, I used too much chakra that overpowered my sense of smell. This caused me to smell your scent. But I thought I smelled something completely different about it. He answered as he then blushed, this time in embarrassment. What do you mean? Satsuki asked as she gave him another confused look. Well, I smelled you, but since I didn't know about you, Naruto stated, meaning Satsuki in general. I thought I had the scent of a girl with you and He then trailed off. Satsuki once more tilted her head cutely to that. What did you end up thinking? She then asked. Naruto just sighed as he knew that he had to say it now. I thought you and Sakura-chan were doing it together, and my imagination got the best of me. He explained before he lightly chuckled, feeling completely embarrassed. Sorry about that, Satsuki-chan. My wild imagination is the reason why we really met. He then apologized. Satsuki began to process what Naruto just said as she soon looked at him with a disbelief expression. So wait a minute, Naruto-kun. You thought me? She started as she pointed at herself. Yeah, Naruto answered. And Sakura? Yup. We're about to. Together. Basically. There was an awkward silence for a moment before Satsuki started to giggle a little and then went into a full-blown laughter. Now Naruto looked at her in disbelief. He got out in confusion as he then blushed at the sight of the laughing girl. Kami, how can someone be so cute? He admittingly thought. QB just chuckled at the display. Looks like the kits isn't the only one who is different. He thought to himself. After the young girl finished her giggle attack, Satsuki then got up from her seat and went over to him, placing a hand on his shoulder while using her other hand to hold her stomach from the remaining laughter. Don't worry, Naruto-kun, it's alright that you overreacted. I understand that it'd be confusing for you. I mean, you had no idea about me at all until last night. She responded with a kind smile. You mean you're alright with it? Naruto asked as he was half expecting getting a hit or something for saying and thinking something like that. Satsuki then giggled again. I know you like Sakura, but I'm not into her, for obvious reasons. She answered as she then winked at him. It feels good showing the real me to someone. She happily thought at having a friend to share these moments. Naruto then also began to chuckle a little. Well, at least you being a girl explains why you never responded to any of your fangirls. You know, and please don't hate me for this, but for a while I kinda assumed that you were into guys. He finished as he flinched, feeling worried that Satsuki might hit him for what he said. Satsuki stared at Naruto for a few moments before bending down and began laughing so hard until tears started falling down her cheeks while her sides started to hurt. Oh Kami. Ahahaha, I can't breath. She tried to say in between her roaring laughter. After a few moments of laughing, she leaned against Naruto before taking a few needed gasps of air. Now that I think about it, it would have been so much easier for me to say that I was if it would have helped me escape my Sasuke fangirls. After all, I am into guys. She admitted in a joking manner. This made Naruto to also laugh at the irony as well. Yeah, I guess now I know that you are into guys. he commented as they both continued to laugh loudly, though strangely for Naruto, he felt relieved of hearing that last bit from the Uchiha. After the two had finally calmed down, Satsuki then sighed and frowned as she went back to her seat. As for said fangirls, they're nothing but absolute disgraces that will get themselves killed sooner or later. She muttered but was heard. Naruto blinked a couple of times to that in confusion. What do you mean Satsuki-chan? He then asked. Satsuki sighed in response as she placed her hands on her hip. Besides Hinata and Ino, who both at least still trained, though Hinata way more than Ino might I add. She began explaining. Most of the girls shouldn't have gone to the academy as they only decided to go as to try and flirt with me, well, with Sasuke. She then continued. Naruto didn't say anything to that as he saw that more times than he could count, as he then remembered something. Same with Sakura-chan, he then asked with honest curiosity. No sooner Naruto asked that, it made Satsuki's eye twitch a little, as it took every single fiber of her being not to begin shouting in pure annoyance, but she didn't as she realized that now that she was Naruto's friend, she decided that now is the best time to make her new friend see some sense into his little obsession on the pink-haired girl. Naruto-kun, she's the worst of them all, she cares more about her appearance than her shinobi training. She soon began the new explanation while this made Naruto to become taken back to this, but before he could say anything, the Uchiha heiress continued. I will say that she may be really smart, but that's only in terms of book smarts and those aren't gonna be of much help in the field, so if she doesn't take it seriously she could end up getting herself or her teammates killed. I honestly don't get what you see in her. She may have some nice looks, but that's it, is loud, bossy, rude, and she screeches like a damn banshee that could easily destroy the entire village with her voice alone. She admitted as she crossed her arms over her chest. Cammy help the poor soul that ever marries her. Not to mention the fact that she has pink bubblegum hair. Honestly, that's really unnatural. She finalized. Naruto was slightly taken aback by this as he clearly wasn't expecting the sudden insults, but just as he was about to say something, he then heard the Kyuubi talking in his head. She got you there, Kit. The only reason you have a crush on her is because of her apparent looks and book smarts. You got a better chance with lavender eyes or the Uchiha here. He half joked, as Naruto blushed at the thought about him and Satsuki being together. After all, even he knew that Satsuki was very attractive and cute, but did wondered who he meant by lavender eyes. But Satsuki wasn't done yet. That and I think she would go and possibly turn lesbian for me if she ever found out the truth about me, that or hopefully she would finally wake up from her delusion of Sasuke obsession. But really for someone to have book smarts, she doesn't know the meaning of the word number. I mean seriously. I always say no but she seems to completely ignore or block it out from her mind and continues to go after me. She added as she shivered at the thought. Naruto was very conflicted to this as he really still liked Sakura, but he couldn't just feel mad or shout at Satsuki either. He tried to take a deep breath but he was still didn't know what to think. Seeing his face filled with nothing but confliction made Satsuki feel bad, but she knew that Naruto need to face this or he wouldn't be able to both see what Sakura really was or more importantly be able to move on from his slight obsession. Listen Naruto-kun, she began, as the blonde turned to look at her. I know you don't want to hear this, but I really want you to think of what you know of her. I mean, is she really worth getting her to like you even if it meant receiving all the pain, both physically and emotionally she does to you? She then asked with both seriousness and honesty as he looked straight at his eyes with a worried in her eyes. Naruto honesty didn't like seeing Satsuki have that look in her eyes as he really liked seeing her happy and smiled, so he decided to give some serious thought to what his new friend told him, then started to think back to all the times he tried to ask Sakura out on a date whenever they both had some free time but she would always turn him down and hit him over the head as her replied. Flashback no jutsu. At the end of the day at the academy, Sakura was walking with slouched shoulders after she lost sight of Sasuke. She wanted to ask him out yet again. Damn, I must have just missed him. Sasuke-kun, why do you reject my love? We're destined to be together. She thought with delusion. Naruto had just exited the academy when he saw the pink-hair girl. "Hey Sakura-chan," he called out to her. This made Sakura to gain a very annoyed and angry expression when she heard Naruto say her name. "You wanna get some ramen with me?" he happily asked, wanting to have spend some time with her, however. Wham! Sakura glared at the down boy as she just punched. "No. Why would I want to hang out with a monster like you?" She screamed at the fallen boy as she looked at him with disgust, before storming off with a mad and annoyed face. Naruto could watch at the retreating girl as he could only sigh in disappointment and sadness while he rubbed his sore cheek. "Geez, that hurt Dadbao." He groaned out as he stood up and decided to just go by himself. Kai. Naruto could only remember such occasions more times he could possibly count whenever he tried to ask her out, to even simply greet Sakura, only to be answered back with a brutal punch to his face and/or head. Though he really wanted to say something to think of something nice about her, but each time he remembered any occasion, it will always be the same thing. This slowly made Naruto realize just what kind of girl Sakura was. "Wow, you're right," he began as he gave one final sigh of realization. "Sakura is a bitch," he soon admitted as he rubbed his face, remembering another more recent time when she punched in the face. The QB simply rolled his eyes to this epiphany of the blonde. "Took ya long enough to realize it," he then commented with a deadpan tone. Naruto mentally sighed at this. "You don't need to rub it in," he replied to the biju. Satsuki on the other hand began to giggle again, glad that her friend was starting to realize the truth as it placed a smile on her face. "Naruto-kun, I have to say that I envy you with how you have only one girl that has a crush on you," she honestly admitted as she tilted her body slightly and placed her hands on her hips again. "Could I be crushing on him too?" she then suddenly thought offhandedly, only to quickly shook it off when she realized. "And no, I can't be. We just met like this. I mean it would be way too fast and I barely know Naruto-kun," she thought before hesitating. "But I have to at least admit, he is cute," she added in her mind as she blushed while looking at him with a smile. Naruto in turn gave her a confused look. "Huh, what do you mean?" he asked, not understanding what the female Uchiha meant before his brain finally processed what she just said. "Wait, someone has a crush on me?" he soon asked in excitement. This made Satsuki and Kyubi sweat dropped at the same time to the blonde's dense-headedness. He honestly didn't know. Everyone in the village knows it. They both thought in unison. Then a light bulb appeared on top of Satsuki's head as she gave off a cat-like smile at the idea that just came to her mind. "Well Naruto-kun, here's one thing you should know about her, she's been crushing on you since before the academy," she playfully got out while winking at him. Naruto's jaw dropped to that as he then began to imagine it. "No way. Someone's been crushing on me for that long," he got out as he just couldn't fathom the fact that someone would even look at him without hatred or annoyance, let alone have feelings for him. "How the hell did I miss that Dadbao?" he then exclaimed as he felt like banging his head against the wall for not realizing that some girl actually was in love with him. "I'd be more shocked had you actually known," QB said with a deadpan tone. "You knew too," Naruto replied as his annoyances finally reached its peak. "What the hell Dadbao?" he exclaimed once more. "Why not let the Uchiha tell you about your true love?" QB responded with a joking tone. Though deep down, he really didn't want to say anything of this particular subject. "I mean how am I supposed to do so?" he thought to himself with a hint of shame. After all, he wasn't just the source of all his pain, but he was the manifestation of negative emotions. But before Naruto could ask QB for anything else, said Uchiha interrupted him. "You want another hint Naruto-kun?" Satsuki then playfully asked with a giggle, though inwardly felt bad for the blonde with not being able to figure it out. But before she realized it, Naruto dived straight at her, being careful not to toss any of the food into the air and held her hand with a desperate look on his face. "Yeah, of course I would Satsuki-chan. So for the love of Kami please tell me Dadbao." He soon exclaimed his answer as his face was practically in tears while also being unaware of where he currently was. By this sudden action and the very close contact, however, immediately made Satsuki blush scarlet at what was happening. Oh, well, she tried to respond, but the blood in her face was making it hard for her brain to work any coherent words as she started to look from side to side, anywhere to not look at Naruto's face. See cute, she unintentionally thought, but that was quickly halted when she realized the situation she was in. Wait, this isn't the time for that. I have to make Naruto-kun find out about Hinata-chan so that they could be together. Not to be lost in his really handsome. She began to state in her mind, only for her eyes to wander back to Naruto's blue eyes and having her mind wander back into them, instantly getting lost in his gaze. He is pretty handsome. She then dumbly admitted in her mind as her blush became pink. Baka Sakura. You wasted your chance on an incredible guy. She then mumbled out, lucky that said guy didn't hear him. Naruto however tilted his head as he looked at the female in front of him. Hey Satsuki-chan, are you alright? He asked as he got of the table without letting go of her hand and stood right in front of her. You feel a little warm dadbayo. He then stated as he placed a hand to her forehead as he looked straight at her eyes. The Kyuubi could only watch at this with a baffled expression. Wow, if it wasn't for the fact that I know that the kid is as dense as a diamond, I would say he's a total lady killer. He merely thought to himself with a sweat drop. And I haven't even done anything to his pheromones. He then added as he was honestly amazed by his container's natural, lady killer, skills. If it wasn't for the fact that the girls had long hair, black instead of white eyes and a much more developed body, one would had mistaken Satsuki for Hinata that was in front of the blonde as her body turned crimson red from embarrassment. Naruto-kun, why you're a bit close. The Uchiha then just barely got out. Not that I mind that it. She then thought, instantly causing her crimson blush to return. This statement made Naruto instantly realize what he was doing. The blonde blushed and released her as if she was on fire. Oh, sorry about that. He got out as he took a step back, just missing the disappointing look on the Uchiha's face when the blonde had released her hand. Ah, but I wanted him to keep holding me. Satsuki then whined in her head while giving a cute pout, but that didn't last before her eyes widened as she realized what she just said in her head. Where did that come from? She then thought in a panic at fully realizing her previous thoughts. Oh, it's no problem Naruto-kun. She declared awkwardly as she still had a flushed face. So about that second hint, well, she's shy. She then stated as she wanted to move on from this subject. Naruto in response gave a deadpan expression at the so-called hint. Okay, I'll need way more than that. I don't even know that many shy girls. The only ones I know are all fangirls. He shouted with pure annoyance as he thought Satsuki was playing with him, though he knew deep down she wouldn't do that to him so he didn't felt bad. Satsuki and Kyuubi literally then smacked her forehead at the blonde's denseness as their eyes twitched with uncontrollable from annoyance. It's Hinata Hyuga Naruto-kun, Kit. They both then exclaimed in surprising unison. At that point, Naruto just stood there with a stupefied expression as his brain was slowly processing what he was just told, then he felt as if a giant weight that read, 10,000 tons fell on his head along with another even bigger weight that had the word, idiot, on it. What? He shouted as he comically pushed off the weights of him. Satsuki then calmed herself down as she nodded. Yeah. While I'm not saying you should just go out with her, I'm just saying that you should at least give her a chance Naruto-kun. She told him with honesty. I mean unlike Sakura who is just obsessed with Sasuke, Hinata-chan's been waiting patiently and without giving up hope that you will someday notice her. She then admitted in a more serious tone. Sorry Hinata-chan, but he really did need to learn it immediately or you would have to suffer waiting without knowing if he did like you or not. She thought, hoping that the Hyuga would forgive her. Naruto saw still to shock about this that he really didn't know what to think. But upon hearing that Hinata been waiting for him to just notice her while he completely ignored her entire existence made him feel like Bet you feel like an asshole now, huh, Kit? Kyubi then remarked, finishing what his container was feeling. Now you shall suffer for your consequences and wake up already. Biwahaha. He then added as an attempt at a joke. Naruto only dropped his head to the demon fox's statement before he suddenly started to think about time he seen Hinata and started blushing, but he then finally recalled that she was probably the only person their age group, before being friends with Satsuki, that actually saw him with kindness instead of the regular hatred or annoyance. Crap, I've been ignoring such a nice girl. He muttered, now feeling depressed and guilty at this revelation as he could had made a friend much sooner if he wasn't so ignorant. Satsuki immediately noticed this as she placed a hand on his shoulder. It's alright Naruto-kun, she reassured as this got the blonde's attention. Maybe you can make it up to her at one point. She suggested as she was soon deep in thought before looking at Naruto, who just nodded as he began to think of ways to make up to the shy girl. Could I ask you something, Naruto-kun? You don't have to answer if you don't want to. The Uchiha then asked all of a sudden in a nervous tone. This snapped Naruto's self-induced trance as he paid full attention to Satsuki. Yeah, sure. What is it that you want to know, Satsuki-chan? He asked as he tilted his head in confusion. Satsuki began blushing when she saw him tilt his head to the side, so cute. No. Pay attention, Satsuki, she thought with seriousness. She took a deep breath as she knew this question could be considered very private and even invasive to the blonde's privacy. I wanted to know, when your bloodline activated. How did it just come into existence? She soon asked. The Kyubi remained quiet as this was Naruto's decision. It's your choice, Kit. Hope it's something he'll won't regret later on. He thought to himself. This slightly startled Naruto by the sudden question. Well, it's a bit of a complicated issue and I don't think I am at liberty to tell anyone. But I promise to tell you when the time is right, okay, Satsuki-chan. Naruto responded with his own question and request. Satsuki frowned, but she already knew that it really wasn't a thing that someone could just answer. Naruto-kun, I understand, but since we're friends now and I exposed my secret to you, so I just thought that, she started explaining until she started to hear their stomachs growl again, causing the Uchiha to sigh. Alright Naruto-kun, I'll respect your decision and hold you to your promise to tell me later. Now come on, eat up. We'll need our strength for today. She then reminded. Naruto nodded in agreement as he sat back down. Yeah, you're right, let's eat. I'm starving, he responded in excitement. The two then looked at their respective plates of food. Down the hatch, they said in unison as then began their prolonged breakfast. But just as Satsuki took a bite, she realized something after swallowing. She placed a hand on her mouth as she recognized the taste. Oh no, this is, she thought as she looked at Naruto who already took a bite and also already chewed and swallowed. Whoops, she then muttered with a sweat drop. Naruto blinked a few times before his face slowly began to turn completely dark red. Hot 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 HOOOOOOT. He yelled multiple times as he comically started to breath fire from his mouth while he held his burning throat with both hands. Water. He soon exclaimed his request with a scratchy voice. Satsuki quickly got up from her seat as she went to the fridge, rummaging through it. Juice, meats, eggs, aha. She responded as she took out a carton of milk and shook it well to hear its content. Alright, it's not past the expiration date, she said as she handed the milk to Naruto. Here Naruto-kun, drink this. She then ordered. Naruto instantly took the carton and drank the entire thing in quick big gulps, while calming down in the process as well. When he finished and placed the carton down, he started to breath heavily as silly-looking milk mustache was on top of his swollen red lips. Mind explaining? He then asked with difficulty thanks to his swollen lips. Satsuki couldn't help but to giggle at both the milk mustache and the red lips. Sorry about that. You see, the Uchiha have a certain way to prepare themselves for learning fire-style ninjutsu before learning the hand signs. You could say it's a family tradition so to speak and you just experienced it. She explained. Naruto stopped panting as he continued. by feeding them extremely spicy food that could permanently burn their tongues. He then asked. Satsuki blushed a little while chuckling with embarrassment. Yeah, ironically it worked as our mouths gets used to intense heat. She soon admitted. A bead of sweat trickled down Naruto's cheek from the heat. Yeah, and I think I already know what happens when it doesn't work. He joked out. Satsuki couldn't help but giggle at the blonde's current state. Here, at least wipe away the milk mustache. She offered in a motherly tone and without thinking as she took her mother's old handkerchief out of her pocket and began wiping Naruto's upper lip, causing the blonde's entire face to turn red from the close contact. Satsuki stood there watching for a moment seeing this as she wiped Naruto's upper lip, but once she saw his expression, she instantly figured what he was thinking as it was now her turn to have her face blush bright red. She then quickly shot back and she placed her handkerchief back in her pocket and began flail her arms. Sorry Naruto-kun. I wasn't thinking. She exclaimed her reasoning as she quickly tried to think of something to say. Here why don't I make you something a little less spicy? She then panickingly offered to try and get rid of the awkward situation between the two genin. It took Naruto a few moments to recover from this little exchange, but he soon did and blinked a few times. She's pretty adorable when she panics. He thought without really thinking what he was thinking. Not your average Uchiha, that's for sure. Very interesting. Kyubi then admitted. Next thing you'll see is her trying to be flirty and seductive toward you, Kit. He then stated, not really thinking it would happen. Naruto was still in a little baffled that he really didn't pay much attention to the biju. He then soon shook his head, rejecting the offer from the girl. Nah, it's alright Satsuki-chan. He responded before turning back around in his seat. He then grabbed the spoon and took another bite of the special curry, cringing at the delicious, but deadly, flavor. It may be hot as hell, but it's really delicious. He commented with a happy grin and then continued to eat more. Satsuki's eyes went wide again as she watched the blonde eat more of the curry. Why you think it's good? But it could really burn your tongue. She asked, noticeably worried for him, though she couldn't help but blush at him complimenting her cooking. Again, Naruto only shook his head in rejecting the order. No, I really mean it Satsuki-chan, it's really good dadbayo. He replied yet again, then lowered his gaze at the food while having a very sad yet happy look in his eyes. And, this is the first time anyone's made me something to eat besides Ichiraku. I really wanna eat it. Besides you making it for us, it would be rude of me to not be able to finish the food you took time to prepare. He said with a very sincere tone as he then flashed her his famous goofy grin, causing Satsuki's blush to grow darker. Besides, there's no way I'm letting food this good go to waste, even if it is spicy. He declared happily. Damn it, Kit. You're too nice for your own good. Kyubi then remarked while rolling his eyes as he could literally feel the heat that Naruto was feeling that began to sweat from it. Now I gotta heal him from the heat. He added in annoyance as he began to fan himself with his tails. Satsuki couldn't believe it. Not a minute ago, she watched Naruto screaming at the top of his lungs, but now he was scarfing the same food down, all the while refusing to let her throw it away for something else. She could easily tell he still couldn't handle the heat, but he continued eating until his plate was clean. He really eating it, all of it. Even I wasn't able to eat even half of it when my mom first gave it to me. She then got out as she couldn't believe it, the food that she once suffered for days to get used to, the blonde was eating it like natural. Although Satsuki was worried that Naruto may end up having his taste buds messed up by the intensely spicy food, she couldn't help but felt a strange warmth filling it up as she watched Naruto continue eating, and once he was finished she picked up his plate and placed it in the sink. Naruto-kun. You really liked it? She thought unintentionally, and she felt pride for the cooking her mother had taught her. You're such a sweet guy. I was such a fool not to realize it. She then praised in her head with honesty. Naruto was still smiling that it made him look a bit creepy. Satsuki-chan. He then got out suddenly. At the sudden mention of her name made Satsuki's heart skip a beat as Naruto turned his head towards her with a plate in her hands, wondering what he could wanted to tell her. Why yes, she soon responded in a stuttering tone. Naruto's smile was turning one that was being forced as sweat began to fall all over his face, as he had to held on the table as he almost fell over as he looked at the female Uchiha. Got any more milk? He then painfully asked as it was clear that his mouth was burning worse than before with it looking like he was about to pass out from overheating. Satsuki blinked for a moment as her brain tried to process the request. When that was done, her face turned of pure shock. What? She got out as she quickly ran back to her fridge, rummaging around for something to douse the flames her curry had created. Luckily for Naruto, Satsuki had a single-serve bottle of milk left. Here, take it Naruto-kun, she said as she gave the remaining milk to the blonde. Naruto quickly took it and began to drink it. It didn't completely cool him down, but it was good enough that he wouldn't pass out from the intense heat. Thanks Satsuki-chan, huff, huff. He soon started panting. Once Satsuki saw that the blonde's face had more or less returned to normal, she gave a sigh of relief. Why did you eat that? I told you it was too spicy and I meant it. It was my family's curry, the Uchiha's fire-style training curry. She then panicking and worriedly asked. Naruto just looked up at her from his seat, one arm lazily draped over his chair while the other, holding his empty milk container, sat on her table. I just told you, didn't I, Satsuki-chan? I really wanted to eat what you made me. He simply explained as one of his true smiles appeared on his face. To that answer, all Satsuki could do was stare at the blonde. Not believing what he had just said, or rather what he had just repeated. It was such a simple and stupid reason to burn his mouth with a clan's special curry, a clan that specializes in fire-style ninjutsu no less. Suddenly Satsuki started giggling, which once again turned into full-on laughter again. Naruto stared at her as she continued laughing, one thought floating through his mind. She looks so carefree when she laughs like this. Her laugh seems so bright and warm. He thought with a smile as he really liked seeing this side of the female Uchiha. As Satsuki calmed down, she looked at Naruto with her own smile on her face. Alright, maybe next time I'll make it mild so you don't almost die from the heat. She then kindly responded. This shocked Naruto at the possibility of getting another home-cooked meal. While he did like the ramen from Ichimaru's, this was the first time to had ever gotten food from a friend, so that's why he had to make sure this was real. There's gonna be a next time, Naruto thought with hope appearing in his heart. Satsuki happily nodded to what she possibly knew what the boy was thinking. Of course, that is if you want to do something like this again. She said with a blush while removing her apron and placing it in the hall closet. Satsuki walked towards her bedroom to get the last of her gear. You'd better hurry up. I doubt you'll have time to get home and to the academy in 10 minutes. She soon reminded as she saw the clock on the living room. Oh, also, we better act like that hate each other at the academy so we don't draw any unwanted attention to ourselves. She then added, though she disliked the idea of acting like that since they were now friends. Naruto gave a sad smile as he felt the same way as the female Uchiha, but knew it was for the best. Of course Satsuki-chan and I would definitely love to come over again Dadbayo. He said happily to the offer before something clicked in his head, then his face turned to panic. Crap, I really do only have 10 minutes until class. He thought to himself. Satsuki was fine since all she had to do was place her Sasuke's clothing and do a hand sign and she was finished getting ready. That in fact that she only lived 5 minutes away from the academy also helped her, while you have to run back to your crappy apartment, huh? QB stated with a smirk on his face. Naruto wanted to retort but knew he didn't have the time, so he made a run back to his apartment, grab some more ninja tools, and get to the academy before he was late. You're right Satsuki-chan. I gotta get going, he replied as he quickly stood up and without even thinking he gave the female Uchiha a goodbye hug and left through a window, dashing towards his apartment with no time to waste. On the rooftops, Naruto was running at full speed while jumping on the rooftops so that no one would spot him leaving Satsuki's apartment. You realize you just hugged her, right? Kyubi then remarked with a smirk. Upon hearing this, Naruto stopped mid-step. Unfortunately his was in mid-air too. Ah! He screamed as he came crashing down on a dumpster. Luckily it was empty so he didn't land in the smelly garbage, again. Ow! That hurt. You did that on purpose, didn't you, Dadbao? He roared in pain. Nope. You did that on your own, kid. So how was the feel of her massive chest? Kyubi stated before asking that question with a smirk. You mean the pain from having crashed down a 2-story building and land on my chest on this trash bin, then? Yes, it hurts. Naruto replied as he completely missed on what the Biju meant as he came down said trash can. The Biju just sighed at the completely oblivious host's dense head. I meant the girl's chest, you idiot. You've already seen it a couple of times now. Kyubi then thought with deadpan face. Bloodline Dujutsu clan girls always seem to get the massive chests or butts for some reason, must be the genes. He added. Seeing that he was far enough from Satsuki's apartment, Naruto then quickly made his way through some busy streets before he felt another one the clones he created hours ago dispel. Wow, my clones really don't know the meaning of holding back. He commented as he held his head, while he felt really dizzy from the rush of knowledge flow in his brain. But nevertheless he continued moving as he couldn't afford to be late. Meanwhile back in the Uchiha's apartment, Satsuki intern stood in the spot she was in, trying to figure out what Naruto had just did before it came to her. He hugged me. She blushed crimson as she rubbed her arms, smiling a bit in a goofy kind of way. He does care for me, she said in realization. Thank you so much. Naruto-kun, maybe. You won't have to be alone anymore. She said as she gave off a very goofy smile and having a small blush as well. She then remembered what Naruto had thought of what had happened between her and Sakura, as her imagination running wild and a thought bubble began to form on top of her head. Satsuki's imagination. Naruto had violently thrown Satsuki onto her bed as she had a slightly frightened face as Naruto held her in place. What are you going to do with me, Naruto-kun? She timidly asked, not even trying to defend herself. Naruto on the other hand smirked as she held on both Satsuki's arms while licking his lips. What do you think, Satsuki-chan? He began to say in a deep low tone that sent shivers down Satsuki's spine. I'll give you what you wish for, he declared as he lowered his head towards her. Satsuki's eyes widened to that as she looked at the male closing in on her. What I wish for? She asked with a trembling tone as fright and excitement filled her soul. This made Naruto smirk again, as he liked seeing the Uchiha tremble. I can tell that you are beginning to like me. No. You want me to take you, don't you, Satsuki-chan? He revealed as he released one of his hands and started cupping her with it, rubbing it ever so gently. Satsuki gasped at the touch, but didn't try to stop it with her free hand as it instead grabbed her bed tightly. But we just met each other, Naruto-kun. She got out in a meek tone. Naruto merely purred to that as his shirt suddenly vanished. Then why is it that you sound like Hinata-chan? He asked as he gave her a squeeze. Satsuki gasped even louder than last time, not realizing that her own clothes suddenly vanished as well. She barely got out. Just end your facade and come after me, it's what you truly desire, to be a true woman. Naruto then said in a tempting tone. Satsuki kept repeating as she then let out a loud shout of ecstasy. Yes. She then suddenly screamed with pleasure. The bubble began to retreat itself inside back of Satsuki's head as she continued to stay stasis as she kept the dazed look on her face. Yeah, that would be nice. She dumbly got out while drool began to fall from her mouth. Me and Naruto-kun, she got out as her eyes became dazed at the thought of such a thing happening. But then another thought came to mind when she remembered something the imaginary Naruto said. Like Hinata, she got out as her bubble came out again. Satsuki's imagination part 2. Eep. A meek female voice got out. The single arm pinned down Satsuki soon turned to the source of the sound and gasped at who it was. Hinata-chan. She got out in shock and embarrassment at being seen in such a way. The blushing Hyuga could only watch as her hands were on her cheeks while they were crimson red. "WWW, what are you two doing?" Hinata asked as she couldn't stop watching. Naruto's smirk turned into one of a predator as he let go of Satsuki and stalked at the blushing Hyuga. Once he was right in front of the embarrassed girl, he used his hand raised her chin to look at him. "We were waiting for you, Hinata-chan," he declared in a deeper, even more tempting tone of voice. Me. Hinata struggled to say as her face turned even darker shades of red while not noticing her clothes had vanished as well. Then Naruto picked her up in his arms and went back to the bed as the poor girl was too embarrassed to even do anything. He placed Hinata next to the Uchiha, liking the view of both beautiful girls side by side as he suddenly had a container of whipped cream in his hands. "Now where were we?" he asked the baffled Uchiha as he shook the container. Said Uchiha meanwhile didn't even try to move from the bed as she was too dazed while she was lost in thought that she didn't even realize that she grabbed Hinata's while said girl moaned with ecstasy or the fact that she too was now. When the bubble retracted once more into Satsuki's head, she began to giggle in a very perverted way. Hey, she got out as her drool only increased in volume. Then she finally snapped out of her self-induced trance as she cleaned her drool with her sleeve. "Wait," she then began as her face turned dark shade of red. "What the hell am I even thinking something like that? I've never thought of anything like that before," she exclaimed in a panic, shocked at even those kind of thoughts appeared in her head. "I gotta get ready," she then added as she began to change into her Sasuke disguised. At the academy in one of the classrooms, a shy little girl suddenly sneezed, wondering who was talking about her as she was worried a certain blonde's future. Naruto-kun. She shyly got out while twiddling her fingers in a cute way.